Pressure, all of that, pressure over what's happened with Philip Schofield and the claims about the show and toxic atmospheres. This is the other side of fame, isn't it? This is the downside of fame, that all those kids who sit in school and say, oh, I really want to be famous, don't really understand.
Yeah, look, it's a really double-edged sword, isn't it? There's so many people out there that are pursuing fame, that really want it, that yearn for it. And when it comes along, you know, it can be quite brutal. You know, your life isn't your own, as you say. People are talking about you, not necessarily in a good way. And it is the downside of fame. And it's a side of fame that people sort of have a bit of tunnel vision about. They're very ambitious to have that. And they sort of won't listen to what those downsides might be. And they get to them. You know, everybody's human beings at the end of the day. And it hurts however much you technologically try not to see it or convince yourself to not have a look.
Yeah.
Rise above it. I still think it can be, it's distressing.
Yeah. Well, you have to say, people often say, well, just don't look at, you know, Twitter or X or Instagram. Why, you know, why does it bother you so much? But of course, people do. You know, in the same in our personal lives, if someone was, you know, if you're at school or in the workplace, someone was saying something bad about you, you'd want to know what was being said, wouldn't you? But this is the thing, isn't it? It's when most people don't go to work and have basically the whole country telling them, you know, I have it a tiny bit in my shield. I'm a no mark, not big celebrity like Holly, where, you know, everybody's telling you how better you could do your job. And you think, well, I'd love to stand over you for half an hour and see what criticisms I can make of your job. But this is, it's the personal intrusion, isn't it? So celebrities these days have to, it seems, sell their souls, their families, their relationships. Oh, here's a picture of our new baby. Here's every detail of my marriage, of my life, my mental health struggles, my whatever it is. And there's almost like no private place left. What effect does that have on people?
Look, I think some celebrities do manage to be quite resistant to that. They won't pour out their sort of personal lives on social media or anywhere else. And others, there is that intrusion in spite of the fact that they may not want to do it, they're expected to do it. And of course, there are always people snapping at the heels, you know, someone like Holly, to take her place. So you've got all that pressure, and she's got a young family in this instance. But I think particularly in this case, you know, where you were a presenting duo, interesting how she referenced Richard and Judy, who are not just a presenting pair, but were also married to each other. You were really heavily reliant on the other person. You finish their sentences, you know how they're going to give you space to answer and all that. So actually, I think in that case, it's really quite brutal when you've relied on somebody else supporting you and you support them in that.
And then, of course, she getting caught up with a lot of the scandal concerning the departure of Philip Schofield and his basically his lies about his relationship with a much younger member of the This Morning production team. But she kind of got dragged into all of that. Will this be the right decision for her in terms of, like, just moving on, cutting ties with that particular show, starting again?
I think it is. I don't think they've managed to partner her with anybody who you get the sense of that same relationship that they had, certainly the on-screen one. And I think it's time for her to move on, and she probably feels that quite acutely now. And I'm sure she'll come up in another guise of some sort. She's a talented
and she's certainly an ITV star, isn't she? Jo Hemmings, psychologist, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate that, those thoughts.